Today's Today we are going to start the topic shear force and bending moment. Right. So in this session we are going to see the topics under introduction, shear force and bending moment definitions. So shortly we can say shear force as SF and bending moment as PM. And the third thing that we are going to see here is shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. Shortly, we can say it as SFD and BMD. And then the types of beams, which are very important to draw the shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. And then the types of loads that we are going to see about. And very most important topic, which is the sign conventions. So that is also we are going to see today. And at last we are going to see some important points to be considered. So we are going to see some important points to be considered in drawing the shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. Now let us consider an object like this. Okay, so in this we know that the axis will be like this, right? If you are applying some load in the direction of the axis, or else we can say we can apply the load parallel to the axis, then we call it as axial force, right? So when we are applying the load which is parallel to the axis, let us say the intensity of this load is P. If you are applying the load parallel to the axis, then that is what we call it as axial force. Because of this application of the force P, this object may get elongate. So this object may get elongate, that is the length may get increase. The length may get increase because of the application of the load. Okay, so in the same case, if we are applying the load in the opposite direction, let us take the same object and here we'll be having the axis and we are applying the load in this direction, right? Means we are compressing with the same intensity of load P. Okay, so here these loads are compressing the object. Okay, so there may be some decrease in the length of the object. Okay, so this is also called axial force. Okay, so simply we can say when the force is acting when the force is acting parallel to the axis of the object, then we call it as axial force. Now let us consider the same type of object like this. Okay, and when we are applying the load in this direction and also in the other direction. Okay, so here when we are applying the load in two opposite direction, here this object will slide. So this object will slide in upward direction and this will come on to the downward direction. So this is because of the shear force. This may also have the intensity P, but the loads are acting in opposite direction but in different ways. So this is acting over, this force will act over this part of this object, and this load P, which is acting in downward direction, may act over this part of the object. So because of this, this object will move, this part of the object will move in upward direction, and this part of the object will move to the downward direction. Okay, so this is because of the shear force which is acting over the object, shear force. Okay, so we are going to see about this shear force and the bending moment. With this understanding, we'll move on to this beam. Simply we'll take a beam simply supported and having a load W. Let us take the beam's end as A and B. Okay. Now because of this action of this W, this beam will break at this point. Okay. So the force which is making this beam to get fail is known as shear force. Okay. The beam may get fail because of this force, that is shear force may act over here, or else this beam may bend. It's not necessary to, if we are saying that a beam is getting fail, it is not necessary to fail. Even if it is getting bent, we can say that the beam is getting failed. Okay, so the force which is making the beam to break is known as shear force, and the force which is making the beam to bend is known as bending moment. Now let us consider a beam which is simply supported at the ends. Let us take the ends of the beam as A and B. Let us consider this beam is applied with a load W. Now, because of the action of this load W, the beam may get break. Okay. So, the force which is responsible for the beam to break is known as shearing force. So, the W is making this beam to shear. Okay, so because of this load W, this beam will get into two pieces. It's getting shear. Okay, so that is what we call it as shear force. And next thing, which is bending moment. Okay, now let me take another example in which the same beam, okay, which is also applied with the load W. Now we are taking the chance that the beam is not getting break. It is bending like this. Okay, so the beam may get shear or the beam may get bent. These cases are together known as shear force and bending moment. In this chapter, generally what we do here is, we'll be drawing the beam. Below that, we'll be drawing a diagram known as shear force diagram. Okay. So in that shear force diagram, we'll be mentioning the shear force, that is the shearing points of the beam, and below that we'll be drawing the bending moment diagram, so in which we will be mentioning the bending moment points of the beam. So mostly in this chapter we will be having the graphical solutions, right? Now let us see the definitions for the shear force and bending moment. Okay. So here we have considered a single load which may be responsible for this beam to break. So if you are having some n number of loads, then the algebraic sum of these vertical forces at any section of the beam, right? I'll write the definition here. It is shear force, right? The algebraic sum of the vertical forces at any section of a beam to the right or left of the section is known as shear force. So the sum of vertical forces, okay, the algebraic sum of vertical forces at any section of the beam to the right or left of the section. Okay, so to the right of the left of the section is known as shear force. Okay, so here the beam may get because of this single force. If you are having some n number of force, the algebraic sum of those vertical forces at any section of the beam, we can take at any section of the beam, we can find out the shear force, right, at any section of the beam to the right or left of the section. Okay, that is what we call it as shear force, right? Next, bending moment. So bending moment same like this, but the bending moment which is the algebraic sum of the moments of all the forces acting to the right or left of the section is known as bending moment. Okay. So the next thing that we are going to see is shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. So as I told you previously, the shear force diagram is one which shows the variation of the shear force along the length of the beam. So the diagram will show you the points of shear force, that is the what is the amount of shear force in a particular point of beam, that will be shown clearly in the diagram. That is what we call it as shear force diagram. So bending moment diagram is the one which shows the variation of bending moment along the length of the beam. So from that diagram you can see the amount of bending moment on the particular point of the beam. Okay, so that can be viewed clearly in the bending moment diagram. Now I'll write down the definitions for SFD and BMD, that is shear force diagram and bending moment diagram, right? A shear force diagram is one which shows the variation of the shear force along the length of the beam, right? And bending moment diagram, that is a bending moment diagram, BMD, is one which shows the variation of the bending moment along the length of the beam. The next subheading that we are going to see is the types of beam. Types of beam. Right. So there are 5 types of beam. Okay. So first one is the cantilever beam. Second one, simply supported beam. Third one, overhanging beam. Fourth one, fixed beam. Fifth one, continuous beam. Okay. So here in this subject, that is in strength of materials, we will be seeing about the cantilever beam, simply supported beam and overhanging beam. Okay, which is there in your syllabus. Okay, so that is broadly these beams can be classified into determinate beams and indeterminate beams. Okay, if the unknowns can be found out by using the equations of equilibrium, then we will call it as determinate beams. If it is not possible for you to solve the values of unknowns using the equations of equilibrium, then we will call it as indeterminate beams. Right. So what is meant by that equations of equilibrium? Already you might have studied in engineering mechanics, that is summation of H is equal to 0, summation of V is equal to 0, summation of moments is equal to 0. This is what we call it as equations of equilibrium. Right, that is sum of horizontal forces will be equal to 0, sum of vertical forces will be equal to 0 and sum of moment will be equal to 0. So if it is possible for us to find out the values for unknowns by using these equations of equilibrium, then we will call it as determinate structure. If it is not possible for us to find out the value of unknowns using this equation of equilibrium, then we will call it as indeterminate structures. So in strength of materials, according to our syllabus, we are going to see only the determinate structures. Right. So now we will see what is meant by cantilever beam. Now we will see the cantilever beam. So the cantilever beam is the beam which is fixed at one end and free at the other end. So generally we will be giving the symbol like this to denote that it is being fixed. So the cantilever beam which is fixed at one end and the other end will be free. Right. So next, simply supported beam. In the simply supported beam, the beam supported or resting freely on the supports at its both ends. Okay, that is what we call it as simply supported beam. So simply we can say that is a beam which is being simply supported at the ends. Let us take this as A, B, and let us take this as also A and B. So the beam which is supported simply at the edges, then we'll call it as simply supported beam. So the next thing is overhanging beam. Overhanging beam, right? So when the beam is projected beyond the support like this, then we'll call it as overhanging beam. This, the end portion of the beam is extended beyond the support, okay, then we'll call it as overhanging beam. So this is what the simply supported portion, this is what the simply supported portion, and this is what the overhanging portion, overhanging portion. Okay, so if the portion of the beam is extended beyond its supports, then we'll call it as overhanging beam, right? So next, fixed beams. So what is meant by fixed beam? Which is the beam whose both the ends are fixed or built-in walls. Okay, if the beam with both the ends are fixed is known as fixed beam, right? And then continuous beam, the last type of beam, which is continuous beam. Okay, so if the beam is having more than two supports, if the beam is having more than two supports, then we'll call it as continuous beam. Let us say this is A, B, C. We can say this is A and B. We can say this is A, B and C. If the beam is having more than two supports, then we'll call it as continuous beam. The next is the types of load. The next topic that we are going to see is the type of load. Okay, so you know what is mean by beam. So beam is a horizontal member which will carry the loads on it, so which can withstand the loads. Okay, so what types of load will be acting over the beam, that we are going to see, right? So the beam is normally horizontal and the loads acting on the beams are generally vertical, right? The important types of loads which are acting on the beam are point load, or otherwise known as concentrated loads. And second one, uniformly distributed load. Uniformly distributed load. And the third one, which is uniformly varying load. Uniformly varying load, right? Now we'll see about the loads one by one. The first one that we saw is point load, or otherwise known as concentrated load. Okay, so in the point load or the concentrated load is one which is considered to act at a point. Okay, so if we are taking a beam and when we are having the support, let us take a simply supported beam. Okay, so the point load is the one in which is considered to act at a point. Okay, so the load is considered to act at a single point. Okay, this is what we call it as point load, or otherwise known as concentrated load. Okay, so but in practically this will be considered like that. This load will be distributed to the small area. Okay, let it be. So the point load is the one which is considered to act at a particular point. This is also otherwise known as concentrated load. Okay, next, uniformly distributed load. So this can be simply, we can write this as UDL, right? So uniformly distributed can be write as UDL, right? So this UDL, what is this UDL load? That is uniformly distributed load means this will be distributed uniformly throughout the length of the beam. Okay, so this will be given with the load, this will be given with the unit Newton or kilonewton or kg, whatever it is. So this will be given with Newton per meter or Newton per mm or kilonewton per meter. In that way the unit of this load will be indicated here. Okay, so the uniformly distributed load is one which is spread over a beam in such a manner the rate of loading W is uniform along the length, right? The rate of loading will be expressed as W Newton per meter. Okay, so in this is what we call it as UDL, uniformly distributed load. The load will be distributed uniformly throughout the length of the beam, right? Next, UVL, which is uniformly varying load. Okay, so this uniformly varying load is also known as triangular load. Okay, so in this the load will be distributed, it will be represented in this way, right? So in which a uniformly varying load is one which is spread over a beam in such a manner that the rate of loading varies from point to point. In this case the rate of loading, the load will be distributed uniformly, but here the load will